Thank you, Milt. Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. On November the 10th, 2014, I met Milt McConnell and Art LaChance at Milt's office, and we talked everything Alpha Media, radio, the world, and the Confidence Project. And at the end of the meeting, Milt said, you know, I really like what you're doing, but we have so many initiatives going, I just can't bring you on for this. So, but keep in touch. And so I did. And every quarter, I would send an email to Milt with the subject line, checking in, circling back, are you ready yet? And Milt always got back to me, which I so appreciated. No ghosting from him. He always replied, still building the team, doing some reorganization, not quite ready yet. Keep in touch. And then in August, I sent him another email saying this. The subject line was, idea for the fourth quarter. Dear Milt, what if I bring a Confidence Project Power Hour, to your team in September to help you sort of pre-launch the fourth quarter? And we'll practice skills that your team will use immediately and every day for the rest of their lives. Sincerely, Tracy. Send. Minutes later, I get a reply. Tracy, let's do it. M2. And thus, I am here today. So today, we're going to practice some simple skills to help you feel comfortable in any place that you are. And you know, it's interesting because I thought about this when I got that email response from Milt. The Eagle landed 1 year and 8 and 10 months later. So it takes time to land a client, to build their trust, to really make them feel like they want to connect with you. But there are ways that you can connect with people fast and with impact. And that's what the Confidence Project is all about, sort of using skills that you can practice every day to help you feel comfortable in any situation. So you won't have to do this. It keeps me from looking at my phone every 2 seconds. You know, we're so connected to our devices that sometimes we don't think about looking out into the world and connecting with somebody who might be a potential client. And I always say every conversation is an interview. You never know who's going to be a client as you go along. So some of these skills that we're going to practice will be refresher skills, but it's always good to polish up because the world is so casual and increasingly crass that sometimes we can slip into sloppy. So it's always good to practice up. So simple skills that build confidence. So simple skill number one. Well, I'm going to say this first. At an early Confidence Project workshop, one of the participants said, you know, I sort of remember my parents teaching me these skills, like how do you introduce yourself? Or how do you introduce someone else? Or how do you start a conversation with someone you don't know and keep it going with some depth? Or how do you jump into a conversation that's already started or know when not to jump in? Do you ever have that experience like, wait, like a squirrel in the middle of the road? So just a tip on that, toe-to-toe means no. So if two people are toe-to-toe and their eyes are engaged, they probably don't want to be interrupted. But if somebody's foot is turned out to the side, that is the classic nonverbal that you can join that conversation. And in most networking events and business meetings, people know that people are going to be coming in and out of conversation. So all you have to do is say, may I join you? I'm Tracy Hooper. No apologies, no forgive me for interrupting, is it okay if I join you? No, just may I join you? I'm Tracy Hooper. So these are the kinds of skills we're going to be talking about. But at an early Confidence Project workshop, I remember this young woman saying, you know, I sort of remember my parents teaching me these skills, but I didn't take them very seriously. And now I'm in business and I'm not getting promoted. And sometimes I feel invisible, like people don't even hear me. A research study out of Harvard says that since the year 2000, the professions that have shown the most consistent wage growth are the ones that combine both cognitive and social skills. So it's not enough to be smart. Smart won't get you a raise or get you a promotion or get you help you land a client or even make you feel confident. These are skills that all of our clients are looking for and are attracted to. So simple skill number one, how to make a great first impression. In 1980, I took a job at a tiny television station on the eastern shore of Maryland called WBOC. Anybody know what that stands for? Between the ocean and the Chesapeake. The Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake Bay. And when I got there, the news director, Bill Jones, said to me, you know, I know we've hired you to be a reporter, but we'd like you to do the weather for a while. Well, I don't really know anything about the weather. That's okay. The sports guy will teach you. And sure enough, the sports guy, Marty Thorson, who'd been doing weather and sports since the weather guy walked off the set, coached me on how to do the weather, which was basically consisted of, something like, okay, well, brush up on your geography and learn the names of the local towns. And oh, by the way, over there is the weather wire. So just rip and read. Rip and read? I was terrified. And in those days, we had magnets, you all. So I'd put like a sun up over New England, and then I'd look at the Northwest. I'd, oh, those poor people who live in the Northwest. Clouds. That's how I did the weather. And it didn't take long before the letters started coming. I saved them. Why do we save the bad stuff? But it makes great speech material. Miss Bagley, spelled my name wrong. Where the hell did you get that hair? It looks like a nest to put eggs in. 60 of us at the condo agree. Get a wig. I mean, well, here's the hairdo. I didn't think it was that bad. But they had a heyday with the hairdo because the letters kept coming. Letter number 2. Dear Tracy Bagley, buy your hair a Valentine. Get it cut, styled, whatever. And what's with all the waves? They make me seasick. I nearly barf every time you're on the air. And then this letter came. This is from Eric Bacon. Tell Tracy it's okay about all the mistakes she's making. She'll learn. And that was profound for me because in that moment, I knew that even though I had made a lousy first impression, that with practice, I would get better. And I did. This is what Scott Hamilton says, which I love. We fall down all the time and we get up. If there's anything I've taken from my skating career to the rest of my life, it's the getting up. Remember Meb Keflezighi at the end of the marathon? That crazy? Do you remember that, the marathon in Rio? He slipped at the finish line and did push-ups, and then he got up. Getting up builds confidence. It takes 7/10 of a second for someone to get an impression of us, and just 7 seconds for them to decide if they like us or not. So what kind of impression are you getting of me right now? Like, what kind of first impression are you getting?
You seem like a very nice person.
Thank you very much. Except for this, and this is what I'm promoting, is sort of, or not promoting, body language. For me, this is kind of comfortable to stand this way, but it really cuts people off. What else?
Disinterested.
Disinterested, right, no eye contact. Plus hair, makeup, clothing, grooming, and voice. Speech pathologists and linguists are talking about 2 big issues with the voice right now, and you all know about the voice because that's what you promote. Anybody know about upspeak? Upspeak. So upspeak is an epidemic, they're calling it, and upspeak is, I went to a wedding over the weekend, this is what I said to this young man. So tell me a little bit about yourself, where are you from? He said, I live in San Francisco, I work for a tech company, it's called Google. I thought, are you asking me or are you telling me? So now, you may not have heard this, but now that you've heard this, you'll recognize it out there. So if that's an issue for you, just think about stepping down. I live in San Francisco, I work for a tech company named Google, something like that. Vocal fry, anybody familiar with vocal fry? So that's where people sort of sit on their vocal folds, and they're calling it a disorder now. Thank you to the Kardashians and so many other people that we see on television. It's sort of sitting on your vocal folds, and it causes nodules. And so it's kind of a low, graspy, wow, I'm so happy to be here today, that kind of a thing. So this is a big deal. But posture, I think, is the unsung hero of confidence. And you don't even have to open your mouth, right? You can go into a room, you can sit in a meeting with good posture, and that speaks confidence. Plus, it makes you look 1 inch taller, love it, and 10 pounds lighter. The best weight loss program ever. And it also can help get rid of tension headaches and low back pain just by having good posture. But our culture does not promote good posture because this is what we do. We do this, and we do this, we slump. In May, I was working on the Facebook campus, and it's huge, 20 buildings. The largest building now has a 9-acre rooftop park. It's crazy. Anyway, 20 buildings and 10,000 employees, and of course it's also a tourist destination. And so it has a Facebook store, of course, with everything Facebook. So water bottles and mouse pads and all that kind of stuff. And this is one of the #1 sellers at the Facebook store. It's called Your Posture Coach. And the tagline is, "You slouch, it vibrates." And that's the truth. I mean, I've always thought I had pretty good posture, but every time I wear this thing, I'm doing a little vibrating. It's crazy. One of the #1 items. So does that tell you something about our culture? That we're so much like this, we're so much hovered over our devices that they need something to, we all need something to remind us.
Where do you wear that?
I just wear, it goes, you can wear it right here. And what it does is it just kind of, you could put it right by your collarbone.
Your shoulder.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's a little buzz. It's amazing. It's called the Lumo Lift. I'll send you the link if you want it. But slumped poses are also related to depression. It can either take you back to a time when you felt depressed, or it can make you feel depressed just by this. Amy Cuddy, who has the fabulous Power Pose talk, has anyone seen that? 34 million views. She talks about, it's called Your Body Posture Shapes Who You Are. And so we're going to practice what she talks about right now, which is the power pose. So I'd like everybody to stand early in the morning after your coffee. And I want you to pick a pose. I either want you to be like this, like you are at the end of a finish line, or the gymnasts do it, or the animals do it in the jungle like this, or stand like this, like Wonder Woman and Superman. And I'm going to time us for 2 minutes, starting now. And Amy Cuddy's research tells us that if we stand like this for 2 minutes before something that matters to us, a speech, a lecture, a meeting with a new client, a potential client, a meeting that you're concerned about, if you stand like this for 2 minutes, it actually changes the hormones in your brain. Is anybody familiar with this? Yep. So according to her research, the hormone cortisol goes down. That's the fight or flight, get me out of here, I'm scared to death. And then the committee in your head, I don't deserve to be here, what's the matter with me, you should run as fast as you can. Cortisol goes down, and the hormone testosterone goes up. That's the, I am mighty, I can do this, world domination, look at me. So cortisol goes down, and testosterone goes up. We're doing great. And people who have been interviewed after they have power posed, without the interviewers knowing, the interviewers rated those people as more confident, intelligent, and skilled. And perhaps more importantly, the people who were interviewed felt that they were more confident. So you don't have to do anything, let your brain do the work. It's as if your body is telling your mind, you got this. And by the way, I power posed in the ladies' room before this started, so if that was you knocking on the bathroom stall door, I was power posing by the toilet paper roll. It's a very interesting process. And so, how you feel? 2 minutes. Good. Have a seat. Thank you. Here's another antidote for poor posture. Think about your day and how it might look, and every time I say something that's stressful, I want you just to pull your shoulders up, because isn't this what we do by the end of the day? Okay, something like your do or die presentation that was supposed to be at 2 is now at 10 a.m. The school nurse called. Your son has head lice. You'll have to pick him up in the office. The car repair guy called. $1,500. You're late for your meeting. You're not prepared for your meeting. Your meeting didn't go well. Your client wants a do-over. So pull your shoulders down and away from your ears. This is a simple practice that can help you check your posture and also take the tension away from you. Plus, you know, our devices are all present in our lives. Our heads weigh between 10 and 12 pounds. So just when you lean over like this to answer a text, spine specialists say that puts an extra 60 pounds of weight on your spine, the equivalent of 4 bowling balls. So an interesting thing to do when you're texting is just to pivot out. We can mostly use our thumbs as opposed to heading down like this. So an interesting way to do that, we won't do it now, but just to take your hand, or you could, and just pull your head over a little bit. These are just things to be able to take the tension out of your life, because we have so many distractions, and also to check your posture. Facial expressions are another first impression that I think don't get a lot of airtime. But this is what we see in magazines and catalogs and billboards, and how would you describe these people? Hungry. Hungry. Exactly.
I think Tracy's going to say
They do look hungry. Yeah, look at this one. She's probably thinking, I'll take a cheeseburger with some fries. Starving. Well, how else do they look? Look at her eyes. How do they appear to you?
like not engaged.
Not engaged. Exactly. They say it takes we can read a facial expression in 33 milliseconds. So imagine in terms of first impressions, if we have the kind of face that looks like that, very disengaged. I have a friend who said when she was in college, well, I call this a nasty resting face. There are all kinds of words in the vernacular. You're right, Jody. But a nasty, I think there's nothing better than a pleasant resting face, but a nasty resting face is what we get a lot of these days. Teenagers have it. Yeah. And the thing is, we can't really see ourselves, so we don't know that we look this way. And of course, this is promoted. A friend of mine said in college, people used to stop her on campus and say, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" And she'd say, "Yeah, why?" And they'd say, "Because you look mad all the time." And she said, "Wow, I didn't even know that." Now, there's sometimes a reason when you do need to look mad. This would not be a pleasant resting face waiting for her score. Remember when he was psyched out before the 200 fly? But this is a radical idea that I want you all to think about. Because we can't see ourselves, I want to encourage you to introduce yourself to yourself in the mirror and see what other people see. Engage with your own eyes and see what other people see. And then you might experience what psychologists call mirroring. When you smile at somebody, then they tend to smile back at you. And I'm not saying doing this in a dark alley in the middle of the night, in Manhattan. But I think for the most part, because we're so head down on our devices like this, when we look up, we don't really change our expression. Here we're talking to a machine. Here we're looking at people. So just the idea of introducing yourself to yourself in the mirror is great. So look across the room, exchange a pleasant glance with someone. See, the media has it all wrong. We all want to engage and connect. Here's a pleasant resting face for you. So just a little bit of an uplifted eyebrow, an engaged eye, a soft smile, and then who couldn't look at her all day? But her eyes are engaged, and that's really what, the eyes are the window to the soul. That's what this is all about. I think it's important in this day and age when we are so distracted to focus in on other people. Smiling does make you confident, and also a new study just came out that said if you force a smile for 1 minute, and you can do it while you're power posing, force a smile for 1 minute, it actually lowers your heart rate and therefore can lower your stress. Good tips. Simple skill number 2, how to introduce yourself with impact. How to introduce yourself with impact. As a television news reporter, I interviewed governors and CEOs and presidents and rock stars and movie stars and soccer stars and moms and dads and kids and crooks. You name them, I interviewed them. And I can tell you this, we own 2 things, our name and our reputation. And unless your name is Adele or Pharrell or Beyonce or Michelangelo, most successful people introduce themselves using their full name. It's who we are. It's our brand. Own your name. This summer I met a gentleman, and he was really very interesting. Turns out he's a Harvard MBA, and he had worked on 50 startups, and as an investor, angel investor or advisor, and had his own startup in Silicon Valley and had worked for President Obama on his technology innovation and reform team and all this kind of stuff. And finally, after we were chatting about 10 minutes, I said, "By the way, what's your name?" And he said, "My name is Steve Spinner." "I bet you'll never forget my name." I said, "No, Steve, I will never forget your name." The interesting thing is, here's this guy with all these pedigrees, these fancy degrees, And that's how he owned his name. And I really love that. So your name is who you are. There are plenty of Steves in the world, but only one Steve Spinner. And there's only one of you with your DNA, with your fingerprint, with your eye color. So I love the idea of owning your name. So let's practice some introduction skills. This is a little audience participation. And we're going to start with greetings, and I need to have a volunteer to come up. It's very simple, but I just want to practice some greetings. I'm going to get to you, Ashley, when I have to talk about difficult names. You're on my list, girl. How do you pronounce a difficult name? But Eileen, would you come up? Thank you. I'm Tracy Hooper.
Hi, nice to meet you, Tracy. I'm Eileen Fremont.
Pleasure to meet you, Eileen. Okay, loved what she did. For starters, she looked me in the eye. And her handshake was really firm. You had great posture. You know, you kind of held your space. And you used your first and last name. So we talked about that, owning your name. The thing about shaking someone's hand firmly is that, you know, when you shake someone's hand firmly, it releases oxytocin, which is the hormone in the brain that's related to trust, and a whole slew of other positive feelings. So I really love that. Plus, it made me feel like you were happy to meet me. And there was no fishy handshake going on here. Who experiences that? Okay, what's with that?
What is with that?
So,
I feel like men, yeah, they're like oh, let's try
exactly.
Shake my hand,
Right.
Shake my hand.
So would you like a tip around that? Here's how you avoid the fishy handshake. Actually, you initiate it. You preempt. You're the one who initiates the handshake first. You have a better chance of getting that web-to-web going. So it's when you kind of get caught off guard, and it's like, oh, wait, I do have a strong handshake. Let me do a do-over. Right? So that's what you do. Preempt and aim from the hip and shoot first, basically.
When you do get that, I tend to like squeeze harder, but then I feel bad after I
Exactly.
squeeze harder.
So let me get that. Say that again.
I said when I get that sort of wimpy handshake, I actually tend to squeeze harder, but then I feel bad afterwards because I feel like, you know, I'm trying to get them to react and squeeze harder.
That's
if they
right.
don't, then you feel awkward that you've done that.
Right, but it's
So-
still the best thing to do.
Okay.
I mean, continue to do that. The other thing, it's so interesting to me because I have a firm handshake, and I would say 8 times a year, it happened Saturday night, someone said to me, wow, you have a really firm handshake. And I thought to myself, are you telling me that because I'm a woman? Like, it would never occur to me to say to Milt if I shook his hand, hey, Milt, good grip. So men and women are exactly the same. Shake that hand like you mean it. Use your first and last name. Own your space. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well done. Let's give Eileen a little love. Okay, so now this is the show and tell time. I want everybody to be in groups of 4. We're just going to take about 3 minutes of this. 2 people are going to watch while 2 people practice, shaking each other's hands, firm handshake, looking each other. And it's weird because you all know each other. But, you know, think of this as a low-level lab. Think of this as a low-level lab. And so when you go out there in the world, it will just be, I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said, we did a workshop in the morning, and they had a networking event that night, and which was planned that way. And the woman said, I just continued to practice. Like, I just went to that networking event feeling like I was just practicing. So everybody stand up, if you will, and get in groups of 4. 2 people watch, 2 people practice. And remember those pleasant resting faces. Yeah. You know what you did, which is really nice? You kind of stepped in. And that's a really nice thing to do. When you step in with one hand, you know, it just is kind of, it provides a little like, I'm happy to meet you, I come towards you. So I love that. Thank you. Good job.
I had a manager that once did.
Yay! So how was that for you all? Tell me a little bit about that, besides it might have felt a little weird. Any feedback about it? Yes, Eileen.
We talked about repeating the person's name.
Yes.
Then helps you remember their name.
Repeating the person's name is great, and we're going to talk about how to deal with difficult names, but even if it's not, if you say it, it just kind of imprints it in your mind. Okay, what if you can't pronounce somebody's name? You know, we live in a big world, it's global, it's flat. It's Ashley, come on up here, girl. Yeah, you went from O'Halloran to
Argyropoulos.
Argyropoulos. So, this is the easiest way to do it, so let's meet each other. Hi, I'm Tracy Hooper.
Nice to meet you. My name's Ashley Argyropoulos.
Argyropoulos, is that right?
That's correct.
Great, thank you. So it's always nice to repeat her name if you can. Even if you butcher it, she'll help me out. So it's a sign of respect, like, wow, I really want to know your last name. And so if you try, it helps. Now, is there a mnemonic device you can give when you, like Argyropoulos, like a rope?
Yes.
That's how I
yes.
remembered it.
Yeah, Argyropoulos.
Oh, sorry. My sound guy's going to be so mad at me. Okay, there. So what's the mnemonic device?
Argyropoulos.
Test, test, test. Are we on? Okay. Argyropoulos.
Argyropoulos.
That helps. You know, when we first moved to the Northwest, our girls were 8, 10, and 12. And our last name is pronounced Hooper, but it looks like Hooper. So one day the girls came home and they said, "Oh, Mom, I'm so frustrated. Nobody can pronounce our name right." And Kathleen, who was 8 years old at the time, says, "What's everybody all wigged out about? I just tell people our name looks like Hooper, but we pronounce it like Hooper, like hooker." And the girl's like, "No, Mom." But you know, whatever you can do.
Yeah.
How do you help people with your name?
Really, the rope is really what helps, you know, or if I know it's going to be pronounced somewhere or someone is going to be announcing it, then I phonetically write it out.
Beautiful.
Argyropoulos.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that, which is another interesting thing, if you're going to a networking event and you know there are going to be some people there, look them up ahead of time. Like Milt sent me the list of everybody, and so I looked on your LinkedIn page. Yeah, you did? And then I actually looked on your LinkedIn page, and then I went to Google and said, "How do you pronounce this name?" And I heard it over and over. That's just a way of making people feel important, and guess what else? It relaxes you. So when you get to an event, you're not nervous about how to pronounce someone's name, or, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that person," and it gives you a chance to talk with somebody. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Well done. Okay, so now we're going to do this. I think about all the names. You have simple names on you. Name some of your radio stars. Lars Larson. Easy name, right? These are just some of the women on NPR. Can anybody pronounce any of these names? Lakshmi Singh, right? Silvia Poggioli, right? She's always hanging around with the Pope. How about this one? Fabia Quistarkton, Dhaka. So she's in Africa. I mean, pretty amazing, isn't it? So one of the tips, if you have a difficult last name, or just your name in general, put a pause between the first name and the last name. So my name is Tracy Hooper. My name is Ashley Argyropoulos. Did I do it?
Argyropoulos.
Argyropoulos. So, what if you can't remember someone's name?
You just asked.
You just ask.
I'm so sorry. Can you tell me your name again?
That's right. I actually would like 3 volunteers to do this part of it, people who haven't been up already, to talk about what if you can't remember someone's name. So, 3 people to come up. S'il vous plaît. Oh, come on, peeps. Oh, thank you, Kristen.
It's Christine.
Christine! Okay, so that's awesome. That's perfect.
I don't understand.
Come further.
People mess it up all the time.
People mess it up all the time.
Christina, Kristen, Christy, and it's I-N-E.
It's Christine.
Yes.
It's Christine, like pristine.
No.
I mean, seriously, if that's what it takes, like I tell people, my name is Tracy, like Dick Tracy. And they're like, oh yeah, I can remember that. You know, there are lots of Tracys in the world.
Yeah.
There are lots of Christines. There are lots of all of our first names for the most part. But there's only one of you. So I need 2 more people, and we're going to practice 3 different ways of how you can, thank you, Kathy. Kathy Smith, love the name.
Yeah.
One more person, a volunteer. Thank you, Jody.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Great name.
Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to give you 3 different options, 3 different ways that you can, if you can't remember someone's name, what do you say? Wow, you look so familiar to me. I'm Tracy Hooper.
Jodie Foster.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to see you.
You look so familiar to me. Everybody loves to know that you might connect them with somebody else. Wow, I think we met last year at the conference. I'm Tracy Hooper.
Hi, Tracy. I'm Kathy Smith.
Nice to meet you, Kathy. I remember you. Everybody wants to be remembered. Remember, all of this is about other people. The more you focus on them, the better they feel. They'll buy from you, date you, you know, go out to lunch with you. Remind me of your name. I'm Tracy Hooper.
Hi, Tracy Hooper. Nice to meet you. I'm Christine Fitzpatrick.
Christine, pleasure. So remind me of your name. Okay, now I want you to do it with me. So you cannot remember my name, and so let's try, you look so familiar to me.
Hi. You look so familiar to me. I'm Jodie Foster.
Jody, I'm Tracy Hooper.
Oh, good to see you.
Thank you for remembering. Thank you. People really love to be remembered. So, Kathy, you'll say to me, I think we met last year at the conference.
Hi. I think we met last year at the conference. My name is Kathy Smith.
Yes, Kathy, good to see you again in Seattle, right?
That's correct.
Great. Wonderful. Good job. Pardon me?
Still didn't give her name. I did.
Oh,
She didn't.
I didn't give my, forgive me, I'm Tracy. Great. I'm Tracy Hooper.
Hi, Tracy.
You know,
Tracy.
that's
Nice
interesting.
to see
I
you
didn't
again.
get your name. Because
right.
some people don't do that. So I didn't get your name.
Yeah.
Okay, and all you're going to say to me, Christine, is help me with your name. Hi there,
help
Christine.
me with your name. I'm Christine Fitzpatrick.
Oh, I'm Tracy Hooper. You know, I've met you a lot. Has that ever happened? Like you've met somebody 3 or 4 times and they're like, yeah, we've met plenty of times. So what do you say? You say, you know what, out of context. Thank you for reminding me. Nice to see you again. Oh, out of context. Yeah, whoa, of course. Good to see. So let's practice it this time. Yeah, last time you had that hair with all the waves that made me barf. Well, hi there, Christine.
Yeah, I forgot your name, but nice to meet you. I'm
Oh.
Christine Fitzpatrick.
I'm Tracy Hooper. You know, we've actually met about 4 times.
Oh, out of context. I apologize. Thank you. No, so nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you for telling me. That's always, out of context. Thank you for telling me, as if you're doing them a favor. You know, thank you for telling me your name again. Good job. All right, let's give it up for the girls. I haven't been giving everybody who helped little prizes, Confidence Project mints, for helping out. I have more where those came from. Okay, so let's do some practicing. Yes, Ashley.
Since we're wearing name tags, and you wear name tags fairly frequently at networking events, do you have a preference on which side the name tag goes on? 'Cause
Yeah.
I've heard different things about, shaking the hand, and so putting it on your right side, which is where you're going to be looking. And so
That's
I was wondering
right.
If you had an opinion on that.
Right, so always put your name tag on the right side so when you extend your hand, people don't have to look at the other side of your body.
Opposite, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But thank you for that. That's really a great question. The other thing is that people put their name tags, but then their hair gets in the way. And I'm like, oh, or their scarf or their coat or something. So just be aware of that. Just pull your hair back or change your scarf or something just for the event. The other thing I notice is that people kind of put their name tags in weird places. Like I was in an event, somebody put it on his belly and I'm thinking, you really want me to be looking there? So yeah, right-hand side, thank you. Okay, so we're going to do some practicing something called breaking and entering. One is a felony and another's a misdemeanor, sort of, just kidding. So there are 2 different kinds of breaking and entering, and one is where you come join us. You're in a group and you say, come join us. And the other one is where you have to jump in, like, can I be interrupting? I don't want to bother you. And no matter whether you're 6 or 16 or 66 or 96, nobody wants to feel left out. And so when you're in a group and someone doesn't welcome you in, it feels terrible, even at any age. So I'm always encouraging people to be aware of our social space. I think because we are so connected to our devices, we're beginning to lose our peripheral vision. Have you noticed, like people walking, they're crossing the street on their phones, and they don't even notice your car. And I think that is just the way it is. So we have to be even more defensive as drivers. But in terms of connecting with other people, the whole powerful experience of welcoming someone in. Could I have 3 people to come up, and we're going to practice breaking and entering? Anthony, would you come up? That would be great. Jerome? Great. And Al? Oh, great. Let's go, boys. Come on. Okay. So we're going to practice breaking and entering. And actually, I haven't met you, Mike.
Mike Johnston. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, and I didn't see your name on the list. I'm happy to have you here. Yeah.
Why doesn't that surprise?
No, wait a second. Wait a second.
So you didn't get to look me up on?
Oh, Mike Johnson, you know why? You're on the list, but I didn't find a LinkedIn page, so I missed you.
How can that be?
Johnson
You
versus
probably looked up
Johnston.
So
Johnston. rather than
tell me a
Johnson.
little bit about yourself.
I'm
how-
Mike Johnston.
How long have you been here?
I've been here less than 2 years.
Less
anyway.
than 2 years.
I
Great.
have a television background as well.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, happy to have you as a member of the
Thank
TV club.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. I will look you up. Maybe I looked up Johnson and not Johnston.
That happens frequently.
It does? Okay, there you go. So it's Johnston with a T. That might be what you say to people when you're introducing yourself. I'm sure you do.
Too often.
You do? Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Boys, let's move over here a little bit. I don't want to get off the stage. Okay, so breaking and entering. So now this is a situation, Jerome, I want you to stand off to the side. We're going to be in conversation, and then I just want you to watch how I welcome him in. So he's doing his power pose. He's feeling a little nervous. He needs a little power juice. Good. So you've been here for 2 years. How about you, Anthony?
A little over a year.
A little over a year. Well, great. Wow, Jerome, come join us. Do you guys know each other?
Jerome Lachance.
Jerome, Mike Johnston. Pleasure to meet you.
Anthony Zamora, good to meet you.
Anthony, great to meet you as well.
Great. So what we did was 2 things were happening there. One was if Jerome didn't have on a name tag and I forgot his name, there's no problem because I can just say, come join us. Do you guys know each other? And then they automatically introduce themselves to each other. Okay, so now I'll be on the outside, and Jerome, I want you to welcome me in. And just remember that social space. You guys are chatting it up. And you're going to notice me, and you're going to welcome me in.
Tracy, come on over.
Okay, to be chatting though, because I want you to kind of recognize me.
Tracy, come on over. Tracy,
Do you know each other?
oh, am
Mike
I
Johnson.
introducing you?
Yeah,
or
you're
am I-
well. Either if you
or am
don't
I
know the
bringing
person,
you
you
in?
either say, "Do you know
Oh.
each other?" Or I'd like you to meet Mike Johnson. And if there's more than one people, like 3 people in a group, it can be awkward introducing one person after another. So it can be something like, "Oh, do you know Mike Johnson? How do you do?" And then you can say, "Everybody else, introduce yourselves. You know, please feel free to introduce yourselves." Like you're doing everybody else a favor, which of course you're not. You're really doing yourself a favor, so you don't have to introduce everybody. So let's try it. Okay, so Anthony, you be on the outside. And Mike, you invite Anthony in. Okay, so we're chatting it up.
Anthony, do you know these folks? Let me introduce you.
Anthony Zamora, good to meet you.
Anthony, great to meet you as well. Jerome Lachance.
I'm Tracy Hooper.
Anthony Zamora, good to meet you.
Pleasure. Okay, so it feels a little awkward, but does that help? So, and when you, so while we're up here, let's practice you being on the outside breaking in. So we're not going to be aware of our social space. We're going to be rude. We're going to make you feel like you did when you were 16 and you weren't invited to go to a party.
Toes to toes.
Toes to toes. No, not so much because now we're like this. See, our toes are open, so this is the natural you're welcome to come in.
This guy wants to come in and talk to us. I don't think we should. Okay.
That's right. So
very
we're going to have a real...
nice.
Certainly, absolutely.
Anthony Zamora, good to
Mike
meet you.
Johnston, pleasure to meet you.
Anthony Zamora, good to
Anthony,
meet you.
great to meet you. Jerome Lachance.
Well done. May I join you? It's super simple. Make it easy on yourself. Okay, give it up for the boys. Okay, gentlemen, would you like some mints? Confidence Project mints? Don't forget your mints. Okay.
Next time, give it before.
Oh, yeah, that's, next time, give it before. Okay, I love that. So we're going to practice again. Groups of 4 for 3 minutes. I want somebody to be, 2 people or 3 people on the inside, 1 person coming in. So just practice whatever you'd like to. Either, may I join you? I'm Tracy Hooper, or come join us. Do you all know each other? Okay, let's try it. And then I'll give you the bell.
You know what's hard is when people are using their hands.
Yes.
I'm describing, and then somebody like, oh, please join us. Hi, I'm Kathy.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah. Nice.
Tammy Miller, nice to meet you. Eileen, I've heard good things about you. Nice to meet you. Was that a hard shake? With my man hand. Oh, your man hand and my little hand. I know.
You're supposed to and none of that's on the outside. You went like, hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Tracy
I
Hooper.
had to do a school thing.
That's okay.
Tammy, nice
Happy to have you, Tammy. Thank you. Okay. Okay, how was that? How was that? What was the hard part, or was it anything enlightening for you? How was welcoming people in?
Welcoming them in was easy. Stepping on each other was the hard part.
Stepping on each other. Tell me about that.
Well, not following a pattern in the circle to introduce yourself to the person who was coming in.
Yeah.
And I stepped on each other.
Well, actually, I stepped on Allison.
Okay, no stepping on each other, guys. When you do welcome someone into a conversation, then catch them up on the conversation that you're having.
I was just saying that.
Let me get. Okay, Ashley, hold the mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, face the crowd.
So formal. Hi. What I do when we're at events was just telling the group that I always, if I see someone kind of standard and awkwardly like they want to jump in, I just invite them in and then introduce myself, but then introduce the group to them. So it also helps me remember who they are and then what they do. And then I catch them up on what we were just talking about to help get them engaged right away.
Exactly.
So I try and make the introductions because it also, once again, reaffirms who they are and what they do and what we were just talking about. So
Great. And people will remember you forever. If you're included, you remember the girl who invited you to her 6th grade birthday party. Because that was, and it doesn't matter your age. So I love that. Yeah, let me catch you up on what we were just talking about. We were just, reviewing. Okay. Simple skill number 3, the graceful dismount. Right? How to exit out of conversations graciously and then move on. And this is the technique. Acknowledge, pause, give the farewell handshake, and move on. The first handshake is for hello, and the second handshake is for goodbye. It's a signal to people that it's time to wrap it up. So it would be something like this. Actually, let me get a couple of people to come up. Maybe just one person. Could we try that? And all you have to do is say, blah, 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 blah. Because most of the time, when people are talking too much, that's all you hear, is just blah, blah, blah. You don't hear what they're saying.
Blah, blah, blah. That's what they hear every time I talk to them. Blah, 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 blah.
The Charlie Brown teacher. Awesome. Okay, that's all you have to do. You just have to say, and I'm going to say something simple like, okay, so just watch this.
Blah, 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 blah.
Wow. That is so interesting.
It is, because I'm very interesting. Let me tell you a little bit more about me before you leave. It looks like you want to leave.
Well, I really appreciate you telling me that story. That's the acknowledging part. So you acknowledge what he said, give a pause. I don't want to monopolize your time. I know you have a lot of people you want to see, so I'll let you go.
I'm so sad.
Very nice to see you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Take care. Great. Okay, Milt, don't leave me. We got a few more.
Oh, sorry.
We got a few more. Yes, you have a.
They say, oh, no, it's no problem.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to intimate.
Okay.
I'm not done with you yet.
Well, I have a couple of more minutes, and then I need to get around and see. I promised Kathy I'd see her before the end of the night. So then you can put a time from it. I have a couple of more minutes. Great, I have a couple of more minutes, but I really want to see Kathy before she goes. So finish up that story about your fishing trip.
Blah, 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 blah. And then I caught a big one.
Oh, wow.
But I released it.
That's great. I'm so glad that you are in a catch and release mode.
I am.
I'm going to let you mingle a little bit. So
thank you.
very nice to speak with you.
Wow, that was painful. Wow, I'm going to let you mingle.
Okay, but
Speaking of catch and release.
I'm going to catch and release you.
That would have been perfect. Yeah, if you cared about my fishing stories, that's what you would have said.
That's right. It was
right.
this long, right? Somebody had a question.
What do you
Gina.
do with the lingering handshake when they won't let go of your hand?
You just let go. Eventually, so let's try that. So, it was so nice to meet you. Thanks very much for your company.
Sure.
Take care. And then you just let go.
Like you're a magician. I love that.
So I know it feels awkward, but if you have a couple of lines like, I don't want to monopolize your time. I know you want to get around. You're doing them a favor, right? You're doing them a favor. I'll let you get around and mingle with some other people. And then this is the one that works so great. So do a little blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Wow, you handled that client super well. Do you have a business card?
I do.
Great.
Yeah.
So now, great. This gives you a chance to see their name again, so you can remember they are. Milt McConnell. Great to meet you, Milt. Thanks so much.
I'm so bad that I called you Hooper earlier.
That's perfectly okay. I'm comfortable with it now.
Good.
So you ask for a business card, and then you now don't say, listen, I'm going to go get another drink, because what will Milt do? I'll go with you.
Oh, I take cream in mine. Yeah.
Or what if you say, gee, I hope to see you again. Guess what? You will see that person again. And you don't want to, because you need to move on. Just an aside, when at networking events, I always plan to meet 3 to 4 people. Well, I don't mean like a drive-by. I look people up who are going to be there, then I make up my mind, oh, that's right, I've seen his face, I'm going to go introduce myself to that person. Then you can have a short conversation. I'd rather do that than sort of spray the room, which is what we called in TV news days. Like you'd go to a city council meeting, just spray the room or whatever. It's so much more impactful if you have 3 or 4 people you want to meet, you exchange business cards, but that's a great exit line. So,
And
yes.
when you enter a networking event where you know some people, isn't it normal to go to those people first, and especially if they're with someone that you don't know?
It is normal to do that. Resist the temptation. You get to see them when you have a moment of, gosh, I don't have anybody else to talk to. But go into the room, establish yourself, look around and say, that's right, I wanted to introduce myself to Jim. And then make a beeline. Everybody wants to feel important. If I come up to you and I say, Milt, I'm Tracy Hooper. I was really looking forward to meeting you tonight. Who wouldn't love that? So find those people, and then you can develop a relationship. And I'm sure you go to networking stuff all the time.
We do. We have
Portland
lots of opportunity.
Lots of opportunity. So resist the urge to go hang out with your friends, your colleagues. That's safe. These skills are all about, if you do them enough, then they become second nature. And then that builds confidence. So you can be just as comfortable in the boardroom or at a networking event or even in the elevator with a potential client. So very nice to meet you.
to meet you,
Thanks
Tracy.
so much for your company.
Sure.
Well done, Milt. How about some Confidence Project mints?
I do.
Great. Thank you. So let's take 3 minutes. We have till 9:30. It's 9:25. Let's take 3 minutes to stand up and practice the graceful dismount. So get a group, and 2 people watch, 2 people participate. Blah blah blah. Yes, you can use that line.
Conversation
Yes,
really
it will.
fast, especially with a man, because they're like, okay, thanks. Go take care of that. Oh yeah, I know.
That's right.
Her daughter's really upset.
That might be a little rough.
That's right. That's a little close.
I've been wanting to meet Matt for a really long time, so I just needed to meet him before we have breakfast.
Pardon me.
Tracy.
Hi, Tracy Hooper.
Matt Tyndall. Nice
Pleasure to meet you, Matt. Tyndall like Kindle. That's how I remembered your name.
Yeah, like Tyndall.
Right.
I was telling Milt, I had an uncle when I was a young man that would roll your knuckles if you didn't grab tight. You know,
Whoa,
when
you're
you were little,
kidding.
he was pretty strong, so he would
Wow.
roll your knuckles.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that always taught me to
Yeah, go
be
for
firm,
it.
because if you weren't firm, boy, your knuckles were going to be rolled.
That uncle, what's his name? I'm going to use him in one of my speeches.
Except when you hear the cracking
Uncle
sound.
Danny.
Well, you know, that it is important not to to have a bone crusher. I think that's annoying.
That's what I have done.
So now I'm going to use that. Okay, if I can't find anybody else.
She's a little older. But
That's a total change. I know, that's a total change.
Yeah,
early
yeah.
60s, and I kind of barely squeezed it, and she went, and I hurt her. So I think there is a tendency for a man, when you grab a woman's hand, to maybe not squeeze like I would squeeze tight.
Yeah.
But I would
I think
be
this
a
is.
little more.
So did you notice that about her before, or was it a shock to you?
No, it was a shock because
Wow.
I hurt her, and then I felt horrible because I had just met her.
And the other thing is, that's her responsibility to say, you know, I have a little bit of arthritis, and then shake your hand. She should have done that.
I always kind of like to do this.
And that's a little early. I'm going to talk about that. That's a little too personal on the first meeting.
Okay.
I think we want to be but that's a little private in a way. So
That's like
it's
holding hands.
maybe the third time. Oh gosh, great to see you again. Wow.
Yeah, this has happened to me many times, but what if you reach for someone's hand and it's disfigured?
I will go into that. The two things I'll talk about. I'm Tracy Hooper, and pleasure. Thank you. Okay, how we doing? So how was that? We got a couple of questions in there. May I ask you to stand for a moment? This is just a quick thing. Come on up stage a sec. One of the things we talked about is this. I'm Tracy Hooper.
Howard Jenkins.
And you're Howard Jenkins. Pleasure to meet you too. This is too personal on the first meeting, if I touch your hand like that. I think sometimes we want to feel like we're engaging with people, but that's too personal. If I've met you 2 or 3 times, I can say, oh, Howard, good to see you. Nice to see you again. That's better. But I think the first time it's just better to be a little more subtle. Thank you. Oh, wait, Confidence Project mints. These are the confidence pills. Somebody else had a question about what if someone's hand is disfigured. And actually, that I am a part of the National Speakers Association and the president of our Oregon chapter, which is awesome, by the way. We get great skill building, is a paraplegic. So I thought, do I shake his hand? Do I not shake his hand? So I finally asked him one day, Jake, may I shake your hand? And he said, sure. And I said, does it hurt? And he said, no, I can't feel anything. Actually, I can feel a little bit on my thumb and my first finger. I said, do you want people to shake your hand? He said, yes, I do. So I thought, he's probably feeling oxytocin just from these 2 fingers. Don't miss the chance to connect with people that way. So if someone's hand is injured, I mean, most of the time they'll offer you their other hand. Or if you can see that it's handicapped, may I shake your hand? You can always ask for their permission. Now, someone had an interesting thought about somebody whose hand you didn't know it was difficult. Was that you, Matt? Yeah. So Matt introduced himself to a woman who once he shook her hand firmly and she said, oh, ow. Well, he didn't think anything of it. Well, it turns out her hand had some pain in it. that's really her responsibility to tell someone, gosh, you know, I have a little arthritis. May I shake your other hand? But since she didn't do that, all you can do is say, forgive me. Thanks for telling me. Yes?
So what if someone, when you go out to shake someone's hand and they use their other hand like they just want to like hold your hand?
Yeah, like the other hand.
Yeah.
Side shake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you side shake them or do you like?
I would side shake them and say, gosh, I'd really love to shake your hand.
Go for the two hand.
Show me that.
Right. Oh.
Show me the two hand. Can you stand up and show us the two hand?
So like if I do this and they, okay, like go out to shake my hand and they do one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's what you do?
That's an idea.
Freestyle.
Freestyle handshaking.
I get that a lot.
You get that a lot.
I've gotten that.
Isn't that interesting? And do you think that's a female thing, like that men do that because they think it's more, that's so interesting.
Women. I mean, it doesn't
I
happen all the
usually
time,
see it when you're,
but it's kind of
if you're
weird.
introducing multiple people, like said, you guys said you're
It's a circle.
stepping on each
Yeah.
other, so you're trying to like get it everyone.
Yeah.
Is it a net scenario or?
I don't know. I just never know what to do because it's awkward.
Yeah, it is awkward. Well, then I think if that happens, I think in order not to cause a scene, just give them a nice firm squeeze. In other words, let them know you're happy to meet them. No, no hugs.
That's a good
So let's
segue.
let's talk about the hugs, everybody.
Seriously.
How many women at the end of a meeting will a man will want to hug you goodbye? Okay. What's with that? So I was interviewing a prospective client, or meeting with a prospective client for breakfast, and at the end of the meeting I said, so how should we follow up? And he said, we need to have breakfast again. I thought, no we don't. We don't need to have breakfast again. Either you want to hire me or you don't. But we don't need to have breakfast again. But I didn't think that fast. So I said, oh, sure, next time it's on me. And I stood up and I said, well, thank you very much for meeting me. And he says, I need a hug. And I thought, I'm not going to hug you. I don't know you. I mean, I just had breakfast with you. I'm not going to hug you. So it was sort of turned into one of those awkward side hugs. You know, it's just like, okay. But I did see him about 2 months later, and I thought, okay, I'm going to practice my own rules, which is what? Preempt. So he came up to me. I knew he was going to give me a hug. And I said to him, great to see you again. Thanks so much for inviting me to this conference, because he invited me to a conference. And I could tell he was sort of startled, but really no need to hug in business unless you know someone well. And hugging is the kind of thing that you can't take back. Like once you've hugged somebody, then the next time you see them, you can't unring the bell. You kind of have to hug them again. So I just say, keep the hugging out. Have you noticed that? Yes, you had a question.
When you are invited, maybe quasi-invited to a group of people that are talking, but you realize once you're there, they have no interest in you being there, and they actually have a conversation where they could be talking business, they know each other.
Yeah.
What's the proper way to just disengage?
Yeah, that is such a great question. Thank you for that. I think you can say something like, you know what, I'm going to let you all talk. I need to meet somebody over here, and pick a person. I'm going to let you all finish your conversation. Good to see you. And then exit stage left. So can you come up here? Let's practice that. And do we have 1 more minute, Mill? Okay. Thank you. I love that. Is my mic still open? Thank you. Good morning. I'm Tracy Hooper.
Hi, I'm Terry Dean. Nice to meet you.
Terry, pleasure to meet you too. Okay, so let's talk about that situation because this is going to be available. So tell me about the situation you were talking about.
Situation is I have engaged into a group of people. I asked to be invited and may I come over and join you, and out of politeness they say, sure. But then they go on discussing what they were discussing and you're standing there with nothing to say.
Okay, so may I, 2 more people, Eileen and Ashley, could you just come up for a second? So that's going to be us. I'm going to invite you into the conversation because I know you want to be a part of it. And then you're just going to practice saying, I'll let you 2 finish your conversation. Good to see you.
So I'm going to ask if I can join you.
That's right. Okay. That's right. So we're having a conversation. Let's make it stand over here so people can see us. Good. And so So has this been helpful for you this morning?
Yeah,
Some good tips.
Hi, may I join you?
Absolutely.
Sure.
I'm Tracy Hooper.
I'm Terry Dean.
Do you all know each other?
Terry, Ashley, nice to meet you.
Ashley.
Pleasure.
Ashley. And your last name is?
My last name is Argyropoulos.
Oh, like with a rope.
Yes, like with a rope. Absolutely.
Great. I love my students. And do you know Eileen?
Eileen Fremont.
Terry
Nice to
Dean.
see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. So, it's so interesting to talk with women about the importance of really standing in your own space.
Absolutely.
Because it's frustrating when you meet somebody professionally.
I'm going to excuse myself and let you all finish your conversation.
Absolutely. Terry,
Thank you.
pleasure.
It's been
Good to meet
pleasure.
you, Terry.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Was that awesome? That was so great. Triumph. So the more you practice that, the better it gets. Confidence Project Mints for this gentleman. Thank you for that question.
It really was a confidence act, too, a confident act that he did.
Yes, tell us about that.
I was just thinking, because I've been in that situation, I'm sure many of us have, and that's very confident of him to step aside and let them continue their conversation. It showed
Exactly.
confidence.
Yes. And it feels terrible to hang around if you're not wanted. So just go find somebody else who does want you. Okay, speaking of the graceful dismount, there has never been a better time to practice these skills. Simple skills that with practice become second nature, and then that builds confidence. Practice with your families, practice with your children. I mean, I always think that people say, what age do we start? When they're young. Shaking someone's hand, looking them in the eye. But that can be your low-level lab. And I'll end with this from Jay Danzy, a writer. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. And how people feel after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. Go forth with confidence. Thank you so much. Thank you.